Would you live in a city with no tax, with ample parks and a brilliant standard of living, where you don't even need a car and you're guaranteed a high-paying job? There is just one catch. The city is designed by me, the most evil British man alive. And trust me, that's a hard title to claim. Welcome to Cities Skylines II, a video game designed for the kind of people who get very passionate about roundabouts. Naturally, as a British individual, nothing jimmies my pickle quite like playing God in a city of my own design. Today, I will be designing the perfect city. Now, I did recently hear that there is great concern about 15-minute cities. The issue here being that it allows residents to walk to shops and services in just 15 minutes rather than driving. I couldn't agree more that this is a terrible idea. So allow me to introduce my solution to the biggest issue plaguing the modern world according to the people of Facebook. The 15-hour city. That's right, I'll be designing a city of absolute torture. For you see, my city is split in two. Residential on the left, industry and commerce on the right. And the only way to cross from one side to the other is with 12 individual tube journeys. Will it work? Will it make money? And will I harvest the suffering of humanity to prolong my existence? All that and more to come. So welcome back to the city of New Scammington, ladies and gentlemen. I've recently set up all of our tram lines. We have 12 tram lines in total, beginning with the residential harvester that starts here and ends over here. To then continue the journey over towards the working sector, you are unable to drive a car because this is a one-way highway, meaning you can only arrive in the city and never leave. So instead, to travel from the residential district, you must ride the subway over here, then cross to the other side of the road and ride the subway around here, and then cross to the other side of the road and ride the subway around here. Repeat this a further 8 more times until you eventually get to the end of the track, whereby after one final trip around here, you can finally cross the road, get on a subway, and ride all the way to the center of the industrial district. Once here, you can now go to work, go to the shops, go to university, all these things and more. There are just currently a few issues with my design, namely that in its current form, the AI citizens will try and use the fastest mode of transportation in order to reach their destination. And that means if they're trying to get from here to over here, instead of riding the subway network, they will instead try and walk all the way across a major highway. And you know what? It is faster, because the nightmare that I've created will take at least 7 millennia. So instead, I've got to redo my highway and send it far off into the distance, eventually reconnecting up with the residential area. Because of this pathway being so long, the only way for the residences to get from one side of the city to the other is to ride the subway of financial ruin. And oh boy, is it a lovely subway. So let's set up our city of New Scammington. Firstly, we want to get a nice quantity of medium density residential placed down. We also want to make sure that we're fulfilling the needs of our citizens. So that's why over here we'll be placing down a small park, which will become one of the reasons why our residences want to ride the subway. They're so cooped up and bored on their side of the city, they're going to spend 15 hours in a tiny hot box in order to visit the world's smallest and most terrible looking park. Anyway, the other thing people care about is education, so let's get down ourselves an elementary school, a high school, a college, and a university. All of these bad boys are incredibly important because simply by having high level education in your city, more people will want to move into the city. This is very good for business. Next up, let's place down some high density buildings, which I'll do so here. These bad boys can fit so many citizens inside of them. And then back over in our business land, we'll place down the first of our high density businesses and our industrial work setup. Splendid, there we go. So the jobs have arrived and soon the people will be too. Now in its current form, it takes 12 long trips in order to reach the other side of the city. But you might be wondering, Spiff, hang on a second, how much does this cost our residents? Now I'm a benevolent god, and so consequently I only charge $8 to do each individual ride. This means that you can cross from one side of the city to the other for the low cost of $96. Now that's almost as affordable as a train in Britain. Now one thing that we're going to do very simply is to eliminate tax from our city. We won't be making much money for a while, however, once we get enough citizens in our city all riding the train network, then we can start making some real money. Anyway, as we can see, more and more people are moving into the city. Truly wonderful stuff. And I think it's time for us to actually set up our first little district. First things first, we're going to want to enforce speed bumps to lower noise pollution, get a heavy traffic ban, and enable a roadside parking fee because, well, I think it's entertaining. Now already we're going to be noticing our first few citizens actually riding our expressway, Actually, I suppose it's not really an expressway, it's more of like an slow way. But Travis here wants to get to work. He works at the college. In order to do that, Travis then rides a subway train. It is 3 p.m. in the afternoon for Travis. We are going to keep track of him and see how long it takes him to go to his job. He is currently under the map riding a subway car. Look at him go. So Travis has successfully ridden the first subway and is now beginning his journey on the overground route. It is a very simple process because Travis now simply stands in the station and waits for the next underground train to arrive. They've currently spent $8 to get 1/12 of the way there. They've now just spent an additional $8 and they are 2/12 of the way there. They arrive in the next station, disembark and climb over the bridge. Travis started this journey at 3 p.m. He is 2/12 of the way there and it's just gone 5:30. Oh god. Travis, I don't know when your work are expecting you, but I'm guessing it's for 2 days time because you might not arrive on time. Anyway, he's going to continue his journey and we'll check back in with him hopefully when he's finished. But look at this wonderful setup of subway trains. Every time they go, I make money. Okay, where's Travis up to? Okay, Travis is now waiting for the 4th train on his journey and it is 7:30 p.m. He's doing good. Come on, Travis. Public transport is designed for superheroes like you, doing their part to save the environment by not doing lots of silly trips in a car. Instead, you're doing lots of silly trips on a subway. Oh god, what have I made? It is an abomination, but I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, there have been some rumbling amongst the peasantry, the population of this city, that they are being treated unfairly and being held hostage by public transport. This is all nonsense. And in order to show that it is nonsense, I require you to like the video and go into the comment section and say that New Scammington is not a scam. Yes, if enough of you say it, it becomes the truth. And those naughty authority chappies will stop asking questions. Anyway, onwards with the persecution. Profitability. Yes, much better. Alright, it is 10 p.m. at night and it is looking like Travis is almost halfway there. He is doing a brilliant job continuing his journey. He has so far only spent $48 to get this far and he's halfway there. What a man on a mission. Right, and our population is starting to boom. We're almost at 1,000 people in the city and we've still barely taken up much space at all on our little plot. Now, some important statistics to keep an eye on are the unemployment rate. As we can see, unemployment is at 0.1%, which is bad for business but good for population growth, as effectively if you move to this city you are guaranteed a job. Now, interestingly, despite the fact that we've designed one hell of a city, our population is actually really quite happy. As you can see, we have a maxed out happiness meter, which is one of the reasons why the population grows so quickly. People want to live in this city, the city where everyone's happy, where taxes are fair, and where public transport is plentiful. Now I have noticed it is now 4 a.m. on February, and Travis, how are you doing? Have you made it to your job yet? Nope, you are still going to work. Well, you've only got 2 more trips ahead of you, Travis, and then it's just the long walk all the way from the underground station across to your college.
Eventually.
And there we have it, just 19 hours after setting off, Travis Ridley has made it to work at the college. Truly wonderful. Oh my goodness, we actually did it. 19 hours. That's how long it took him. 19 whole hours. Okay. We have designed, I think, probably one of the greatest cities ever invented. Now, one thing that I absolutely love about Cities Skylines 2 is that everything is tracked in a giant production chain, meaning that you can actually balance this bad boy out. For example, timber is very important as it's used to upkeep buildings. It's also used for chairs, it's used for paper, but currently we're producing it at a massive deficit, so I've built some lovely lumberjacks to deforest our local world. They will then lower the cost of wood, meaning we're more likely to get some timber industries turning them into planks, and we can repeat this process until our economy is perfectly balanced and at maximum levels of profitability. Now, our population is up to a very successful 2,300 at the moment, which is very jazzy indeed. And yet people still want to keep moving in. There is still medium residential demand. So more people are entering the city. Oh my goodness, look at all of my citizens outside of their houses doing like yoga and Zumba. Very interesting, very cool. I also like the dogs. This is Pebbles the dog. Hello Pebbles the dog. But yes, the city is going quite well. The focus still is very much on this subway station. And as we can see, it's busy, but not exactly as busy as I would like. But don't worry, we'll be improving this with time. Our population hasn't even started to boom in the way that I wanted to. Oh, there are only 2,000 people moving in each month. This statistic can go oh so much higher. Right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Our population is up to 4,500, and our lovely underground tram line is incredibly busy. We're seeing approximately 200 people be using our transport network at any one time. However, this could get better, and it is as more people move in and more jobs open. But I've decided to begin min-maxing the jobs by designing the worst street layout imaginable. You see, by making all of the businesses a maximum of 2 squares deep, we're able to squeeze in far more of them, which means we're able to employ more people over a smaller area of land. This is incredibly efficient, and whilst it looks very stupid indeed, it's exactly the way we like it. And it's helping us keep our unemployment rate to a wonderful 0.4%, which is in turn driving up our population, which is still growing at 2,000 people per month. But most importantly, we have this wonderful graph here. This is the city statistics of how many people per month are riding on our lovely public transport. As we can see, so far in the month of March, we've had 4,000 public transport trips. This basically means the amount of money we've made is $8 times by 4,000, which is 32,000. Now that's okay, but 32,000 a month isn't exactly very good. I mean, it's not even enough to pay for a medical clinic, and it would appear our city is also flipped because our population is now high enough, more and more people want to live in high density. This is the move that we're going to be seeing. Less and less people will want medium density, they'll want high density as they get slightly richer. This is very good for us, of course, because you can fit a lot of people in high density. Just this tiny square here, the same size as this building, instead of fitting 30 households, can now fit 150. That is an absurd potential spike in population. And of course, they're going to need jobs. I mean, just look at this bad boy. This massive monumental skyscraper can fit 236 residents in it. That's 236 people who will now be needing to use our underground system to go shop, to go work, to just do everything. It's brilliant. Right, the population is now up to 5,500, which is very good, and we can see that last month we managed to get just over 6,000 trips on our subway, which is very good, but of course can be improved. We can see there's always a continuous flow of people coming in and out of our little station, having to go around and then continue the giant chain, but this entire process could be much more efficient, with more population, of course. Now, we are of course still operating at a loss, but this is to be expected and something that I'm planning for. I don't really intend to make money until we're up to at least 10,000 population. That's when we can start charging more for our subway trips. Well, we're back in my city, ladies and gentlemen, and things are going fantastically well. I have achieved maximum happiness. Everyone loves living in this city, mostly because we're all so fabulously rich. It's hard to say where that wealth is coming from, mind you, especially when we think about how much money we're now making from public transport. We are making 8.9 million an hour simply because people are spending a stupendous quantity of money to ride on multiple subways. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it does just work. We are making an obscene quantity of cash. And yet our citizens are happy. They say they're incredibly wealthy, and they say that the tax is fair because, well, there isn't any tax. Everyone loves being in our city. Unemployment is down to 1%, and only 6 people think about moving away each month. I think it's safe to say we've done something very good indeed. Life is good in New Scammington. We're fabulously rich and wealthy, and our population loves us for it, and we've designed something of obscene perfection. Now all I'm going to do is continue to let the game run and try and watch as this city expands out and how high our population can go.
3,000 years later.
Now I did leave my city to run for several years, which has led to a few issues. Namely, all of the plants over here have died from pollution. It's not exactly the best situation to be in, but oh well, these things happen. I guess it's my fault for building all of the industry upwind of all of our forestry and nature reserves. Still, the city of New Scammington is close to hitting the population of 40,000, and we're in a permanent state of economical bliss. There's no tax, and any money we make I just spend on weird, frivolous projects, like the Grand Phallicus that we have floating off of our empire's border. Ah, perfect. The Phallicus is now leaking our waste into the sea. What a brilliant situation to be in. Welcome to the continuation of our city, ladies and gentlemen. We continue to make millions and millions and millions as our population march endlessly into the corridor of financial success, or in their case, economic poverty. Now, as fun as it is to watch the endless march of the ants, I believe that as they have given me so much money, it is only fair that I continue their suffering with the longest journey. That's right, our final journey taking our citizens into the city is simply too fast. So instead, I want to make it just a little bit longer. We must now build the longest journey possible possible using just a tram. That's right, we're going to build one very simple, slow-moving, one-way tram track that will eventually arrive over here on the other side of the street, depositing our lovely pedestrians to go into the final stretch of the underground. Now you might be thinking, Spiff, why on earth did you choose a tram? Why not any of the other vastly more superior modes of transport? Well, it's very simple. It's because trams are terrible. And it's not their fault, they're just incredibly slow. But it's the lack of speed that makes them perfect for my challenge today, as we can maximize human suffering. And you know what better way to start the tram route than to actually sail it past our very own city? So that way we really crush any feeling of freedom that our citizens might have, as they can say, hang on a second, I've been riding on the underground for over a day, and I can still see my house and I'm nowhere closer to my job. This is the exact level of despair that we want our citizens to have as we encircle their prison. I am actually creating an absolute monstrosity. It's going to take so long for a single tram to do. But you know what? I can actually just loop it back around, can't I? Yep, trams can basically turn on the spot, so yeah, just back we go. Oh god, we just double the route endlessly. And tram tracks are so cheap to build. We can charge $50 for them. $50! Right, we're now taking the tram through the forest. Very cute, scenic route. Now looping over towards the industrial metropolis sprawl that devours my FPS. It's okay, as long as I look away from it, the FPS comes back. Look at that. Smooth, not smooth. Smooth, not smooth. Anyway, a nice little continuation through the forest, I believe, is a splendid idea. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that I'm making an absolute hellscape of a track. It endlessly loops back on itself and seemingly will never end, which is honestly, I think, a nice metaphor for the continued suffering and futility of the human existence, which is exactly what I find myself contemplating whenever I ride on public transport, except European public transport, because that stuff actually works. Isn't it great when you get on a train and it actually goes to its destination without a replacement bus service? Couldn't be me. Oh dear. Anyway, around and around we go. I think we've done a good amount of distance, so I will quickly just pull this track in for the final stretch and connect it up like so. Right, there we go. I have created our one and glorious tram route. This bad boy should be perfect. It has 5 stops and a length of 106 kilometers. So yes, I can assign some vehicles to it. Well, the game is suggesting I assign 53 trams. I don't think that's a good idea. Okay, I apparently have to assign 27. That's okay. We only technically have 10 trams, so that's going to be the maximum. But there we go. We have now assigned a lot of trams to this route, and we are charging appropriately $50, which, considering we're moving people 106 kilometers, seems pretty fair. So, bearing in mind, we now know that it takes an individual almost a full day to travel from the residential section to the industrial section. We have now added 106 kilometers onto that route. But how long does it take to do those 106 kilometers? Well, let's find out. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, our first ever route done with this tram. Now, people will only get on probably the second tram, but nonetheless, I want to measure this. So 5 a.m. May 2024, the glorious tram sets off. And you know what? This bad boy can actually pick up some speed. Oh wait, sorry, no, I was on the maximum speed, so it kind of felt impressive. Yeah, it's actually much less impressive on the slower speed, especially when there's corners and turns and all these faster moving cars going by. But I am reminded of the nightmare hellscape that I've created. Oh god, look at this. It's just a giant concrete jungle encased with a bunch of abandoned cars because, well, cars are meaningless in this society. The only thing that matters is the tram and the underground. Car is the means of entering, but once you enter, you will never leave. But yes, first 30 minutes are pretty much complete on the journey. Very good. We've made it round one of the first corners. I will now speed this up and we'll see how long it goes. 2 hours have passed and, well, not much progress has been made at all. But hey, we're doing well. We're heading back towards the city now, only to then start heading away from the city again because, well, nothing is ever as lovely as it would seem. So there are 40,000 people who believe it's completely fine and justifiable to live in this city, and unless you really like trams, I just can't understand your decision making. So we are now 3 hours into the process, and the lovely forested section is next. Oh, gotta slow down for the corners, yep. Now one thing I quite like is the fact that the game says my city is losing money, however, it's actually gaining money. There we go, we just gained 20,000 isn't there? The current trend is downwards. It would seem that the game can't actually calculate correctly the way transport money is generated, and so it just sometimes chooses not to and materializes the money out of thin air, because I guess they can't trend that as an actual price. This is fine. It just means that whilst it might look like my city's losing money, we're actually making a good bit of cash. Oh my goodness, we're on the giant switchback section. It might feel like we're halfway round. We're not. We've got the longest section to come. So, yep, just continuing on. It is still May. An entire month hasn't yet passed. Well, whereabouts is my tram? And we've still got a way to go. I think we're out of the first switchback section and now into the second switchback section. Very good indeed. The journey continues. We're looping on round nicely. And this is it, ladies and gentlemen. We have finally hit the return leg. Now, you would have boarded this tram at 5 a.m. in the morning. And after a busy day of traveling, you can now draw into the station at the very swift time of almost 11 p.m. at night. That's right, it's incredibly swift. And so just 17 hours and 50 minutes later, you arrive at your destination. Now that means it takes 17 hours and 50 minutes to do 106 kilometers, which is really good, and that's a lot of human suffering, but it could be a lot better. So, I'll be back in a moment. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I have spent the entire city's financial reserves building the mega line. You thought we had too many switchbacks over here. This was nothing. I have built the pan-oceanic switchback. The new line is well over 400 kilometers long. In fact, it's almost 500 kilometers long. It would take 3.3 days to do the entire route, although considering the fact that Cities Skylines classes a day as a month, that means in order to finish off this route, you need to spend 3 months going back and forth on the same tiny little tram. It also brings the total journey time to go from over here to 4 months. That's right, it will take well over 4 months to reach your workplace. Now, that's what I call a hell of a commute. If any of you have recently lost fathers going out to get cigarettes, don't worry, they should be back within the next few months. Unless, of course, there's a delay on any of the public transport, at which point I'd recommend you reach out to a humanitarian agency, as they may or may not need food to be airdropped in. Anyway, this has been glorious. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you've enjoyed today's episode of Cities Skylines, then make sure to give this video a like. And why not hop on down to the comment section and tell me if you'd like to see more content on this game. The sky's the limit, ladies and gentlemen, and I can do anything. And of course, as always, a massive thank you to each and every one of you who are subscribed, who are our channel members, and who are our Patreons. You lovely, majestic sausages make all of this all the more possible. So thank you very much for your continued support. Anyway, that's all for now, and I'll see each and every one of you in the next one. Have a lovely day, and goodbye.